Welcome, brothers. So yesterday I mixed it up with another clown who claims to be about men's rights, but turns out to be just another racist thug blamer. This fool sees the video currently showing in my featured video box and throws a fit. Now I urge you to go and watch the video. The girl in the video is talking about a sick email sent to her by some pussy beggar stalker called Levi's Note. She was kind enough to offer the pervert friendship, but as I've said many times previously, pussy beggars always try to exploit a woman's offer of platonic friendship as an opportunity to beg for pussy. The girl rejects this guy and predictably pussy beggar goes crazy. Now personally I think she did the right thing in exposing this pervert, and I urge other women who are being harassed online by these whack jobs to keep a record of all communication with them and send it to the authorities. All of it, not just the threatening or weird stuff. Anyway, so this first clown sees the video and decides to make me the target of his limp tantrum. He sends me one of his bullshit videos where he's trying to deny that he's a pussy beggar. So I leave a comment on the video asking him why he's silent on thug blaming, but goes on the attack when pussy beggars get called out. He throws another even lamer fit and has an emotional breakdown and says, "Go away, leave me alone." Fucking wank stain. What is it about YouTube that makes these hyper emotional males have breakdowns on the internet over some argument with a complete stranger? I don't know, you tell me. Anyway, getting back on topic, it's becoming increasingly clear to me where this whole thug blaming thing originated, and this latest lame fuck confirmed my suspicions about the real motive behind thug blaming. Now, in my video response to Silver Dragon, I stated that thug blaming had a more sinister side to it than just sexual jealousy by men who can't score of men who can score. You see, the term thug has a very specific meaning and applies to a very specific group of men. Back in the day, a thug was simply a man who was quick to resort to violence. It could have referred to any man. Could have been a white man or a black man or anything in between. However, the term thug now seems to apply to any man some pussy beggar or female or racist, or both, thinks a woman should not be with. When we hear the term thug nowadays, the image that fills our minds is not of a quote-unquote nice working class or middle class white boy. We see an image of a casually dressed black man, any age between 12 and 45. In other words, it could be any black man, not just a black man in stereotypical thug uniform, i.e. saggy pants, white vest, tattoos and a do-rag, but any black man. When these bastards talk about thugs, they mean black men. I've long suspected that all this thug blaming was nothing more than thinly cloaked racism, and after my exchange with this latest self-pleasuring reject, my suspicions are confirmed. What's happened in the black community is that thug-blaming Uncle Toms have adopted the same racist language to smear other blacks, particularly black men. If you're not convinced that thug-blaming has a racist motivation, then consider this. The things they blame on thugs are rarely ever to do with thuggery. They blame thugs for the kind of conduct or misconduct that all men engage in. For example, fathering a child out of wedlock. They say the reason most black children are born out of wedlock and raised by single mothers is black women choosing thugs. That's right, this is how feeble these people are. If we assume that these 70% of black children born out of wedlock are fathered by 70% of black fathers, what we're saying is that 70% of black fathers are thugs, deadbeats and no-hopers. Well, it seems that some of us would have us believe this absurdity. Well, I don't. I reject it as a racist, man-hating lie. Now, the interesting part is this. Black men are not the only ones fathering children out of wedlock. Indeed, other ethnic groups are catching up. The figure for mother-only child raising is probably exactly the same for whites as for blacks. How come? Well, whites have an out-of-wedlock birth rate of 30%, but they also have a divorce rate of 50%, and most of those divorced white women have children. Most white fathers cease or lose all contact with their children within the first 2 years of divorce. So the question to ask is, how many of these white women remain single divorced mothers or stay unmarried for long periods before remarrying? We don't know. For some reason, they don't gather statistics on how many divorced white mothers choose not to remarry after divorce. So we could plausibly argue that at any given time, the rate of mother-only child raising is higher among whites than blacks. The only difference in single motherhood rates between blacks and whites is mode, not numbers. Black women opt for never married single motherhood, and white women opt for divorced single motherhood. White women delay single motherhood until after marriage. Black women don't bother with marriage at all. That's right, I'm putting the responsibility for single parenthood right back where it belongs, with women and their choices in behavior. Now, my main point in saying all that is nobody is calling white men thugs. Nobody is blaming white women's intolerance for marriage to white men on some minority group of so-called bad white men. In fact, the near 100% rate of divorce among whites is never discussed as a disturbing trend among whites. That's right, I said 100% divorce rate. Now, where did you get that from, Thugtician? Well, the divorce rate stats are simply an annual count of how many people got married and how many people got divorced. Well, I say that information is useless because it doesn't tell us what the marriage success rates are. A successful marriage is one that ends in death do us part. Well, why don't they do an annual count of all the people who died while still in their first marriage and compare that to the figure for those getting married for the first time? I reckon the figures will look a whole lot different for every marriage cohort after, say, 1975. I think the divorce rate for all cohorts after then is much higher than 50%, more like 100%. But no one's making these simple connections because it suits everyone to have a standing scapegoat group called thugs, i.e. black men. This is why I hate thug blamers with murderous venom. Because thug blamers are talking about black men in toto, not some minority group of so-called bad black men. These people must think that I, Thugtician, a superior black man, am going to fight their bullshit battles, while they scheme behind my back to serve me up as a sacrificial lamb on the altar of their racist agenda. I ask them to support me against thug blaming and they remain silent. But when they are exposed as child abusers, murderers of women, and family killers, all of a sudden they become very vocal in their own defense. They find every excuse to justify the behavior of barbaric animals who routinely butcher their own wives and their own children. Well, let me warn any motherfucker who thinks they're going to push some men's rights agenda on the back of scapegoating so-called thugs. You're not. Well, just go back to the good old days, when our enemies learned the broken face way, that black men are not pussies to be fucked with. We kick all kinds of ass when you fuck with us. Later.